All right, so boom, it's Friday's Junior.
Friday's Junior.
Friday's Junior.
Facts.
Welcome to On a Tangent.
What up, man?
I'm Capria, and we have 11. Yeah.
That way.
So, 11.
Yep.
Question for you. What is the last thing you procrastinated on?
I procrastinate every day. Every moment of my life is procrastination. Everything on my schedule I'll do last minute. Every single thing in my life is done last minute.
Real talk.
Real talk. Every single thing in my life. I am a professional procrastinator. The very last thing I procrastinated doing was probably sleeping, waking up, taking a nap.
Listen.
Getting here, coming to the podcast. I procrastinated. I left the last minute to get here. I always procrastinate. Think it's the beauty of life.
So that sounds intentional.
I don't know if it's intentional. I don't intentionally procrastinate. I just think that I'm a natural procrastinator, professional procrastinator.
It's the expert of humanities of procrastination.
I think I work best under pressure.
Listen, you know what? I can relate. You know what? Procrastination reminds me of Perfect Image. Remember that TV show we were watching called Evil? And the therapist decided to sell his soul to write the book. Remember the TV show on Netflix? It was 3 main characters. The Indian guy, the white lady, and the black guy who was being ordained as a Catholic priest.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
so who was this guy who's selling the book?
The lady whose mother has roots. Mm-hmm. Her therapist sides with the guy of Mystique that has hands on everybody. That actually works for the devil.
Her therapist works for the devil?
No, the guy that he connects with. But the therapist is a tall, bald guy. And he's always inquisitive, but very open.
He white man?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Okay, so do you remember the episode about the ballerina box? Will carousel?
Nah.
Okay, so towards the end of this season, I would say midway into the season, the therapist has this idea to write a book. But he goes to write the book and nothing comes up. So gets connected with the devil worshiper, and he asks how he can be a part because he's on a mission. And so he does the thing, and now he can write a book. But as he's behind the computer,
what does he do?
Who?
You said he does a thing.
He sells a soul. He does a ritual.
Okay.
Yeah. And the ritual grants him the ability to write the book, but he has to do it in a certain order.
Okay.
Yeah. So he does the initiation, and then there's a ritual with the carousel ballerina box, and then he uses that to type. That is what circums him. The spirit attached to that is what circums him to write the book. But as he's writing the book, he's just going crazy. So
the spirit takes over him and writes the book for him.
Yeah. Now,
what they got to do with procrastinating?
What I was getting to was, that's how I feel. Forget all those extra details, but just that specific mode. Whenever I
feel possessed.
No, that's what I'm saying. Disregard that. I was just describing the scene so you remember the part in the film. That's all.
Okay. So why am I remembering that part in the film?
Because when I think about when I have procrastinated and it's pedal to the metal, I feel like that's my best work oftentimes. And when I'm really locked in, now I'm not manic typing, but I just really feel like I'm hyper focused.
So why is it wrong to say that you're possessed?
Because I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, you going.
You brought the
I know
example up.
because it was the film, and I just wanted to help you remember.
No, you remember. That's the first thing that came to your mind when you thought
Because
about
it was the
procrastination. You thought about
So we're going left field.
no. That's just what,
I just added a whole bunch of details that may or may not have been necessary,
but you
that
feel
wasn't
like you
intention.
are.
the exaggeration they showed is how zoned in I feel when
you
I'm in that
procrastinate.
mode
Okay.
as a result of procrastination.
Okay.
That's really it. But I
What
think
do
you
you
just
do?
dropped some gems. I didn't realize.
What?
It makes sense now.
What makes sense?
You are a professional.
Procrastinator.
Yes.
Yeah, I am, man. I work best under pressure. And I also, because I'm an overthinker. Overthinkers are best procrastinators because if we start on time, we're going to overthink it anyway. We ain't going to work with a clear mind until it's the last minute anyway. So if I'm for instance, I'm writing a grant.
Yeah.
I started Foundation for the Carolinas early because we procrastinated on the last two. I started early and I'm an overthinker, so I'll still probably end up hitting submit on the last minute because I'm still on the first page. Even though I start a month early, I'm still on the first page, the first 3 questions. So when I feel like there's crunch time, when I'm dealing with crunch time, I make myself go with my first thought. I make myself trust my intuition. I make myself trust my gut because time's not on my side. And that's kind of how I trick myself into being organic and authentic. Like, you ain't got time to be thinking about this. You need to put what comes to your mind.
But I think for me, I'm still creating, I would say, great work, but under pressure. And it's like a double-edged sword. It's like a double-edged sword. You're great. You're accomplishing the goal that was intended. But for me, let's say there's deadlines. There is a great chance I'm not going to meet that
You ain't gonna
deadline.
meet the deadline.
No, I'll have the product by the end of the day, but the deadline, I can't guarantee that I'm going to make it. That's my issue with it.
I miss deadlines too.
That's my issue with it.
I miss deadlines too.
Yeah.
I do because I procrastinate. I often find myself asking for extensions on deadlines. I get them a lot of times.
I'll tell you, it's favor.
I get them. I be getting them, but I do be having to ask for.
All throughout college, I feel like that's how I got all my stuff done, especially the papers. The extensive. Y'all remember those research papers?
Yeah, I did those the same night. Every research paper I had in college.
And it's not
completed
like
the same day or the day before it had to be turned in.
Man, and then you know what? That was not my intentions because I would prepare, but then I'm like, okay, I'm getting stuck. Let me just take a break and I'll come back to it. And then by the time I come back to it, it's like, okay, I gotta go back to the internet, but I also gotta formulate this paper. It goes together really
I also
smoothly,
think
though.
that I procrastinate because of obsession with completeness.
Okay.
I feel like if I start, I'm going to want to finish it in that one sitting because I'm going to be obsessed with it. It's hard for me to sit down and start doing something and then not finish it. That's why when I play the game, you see me play an entire season.
I don't understand.
If I ever played a game, I would sit down and play 10 games in a row because I got to complete this entire season.
That's not how you play a game.
It's the obsession. I'm overly obsessive with certain things.
I guess. But you know what happens? I found out that they call that panic productivity.
What, procrastination?
How we are describing our experiences.
It's panic productivity.
Yeah. And then hyperfocus is
panic productivity.
Panic productivity. It was new information to me.
That's a new word.
Okay.
That's very new.
But it makes sense, don't it?
No, it don't, because you don't be panicking. Do you panic when you procrastinate?
If that deadline is approaching, yes. I'm still hyper focused. But am I in that moment? Everything has to be shut down. I
I
don't
think
need
there's something
any
to be said
distractions.
about panic then.
Okay.
Is panic something that, helps us to reach our full potential? It's like you don't know how brave you are until you have to be. You don't know how courageous you can be until you have to be.
But what does that say?
You don't know how strong you are until you have to be. You don't know how fast you can think until you're panicking.
Does that mean we don't trust ourselves? Or do you think that is a completely separate thing?
I think it depends on how you deal with panic.
Okay.
Because we just watched this other movie last night. I don't know what that was about that black girl.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was panicking and was not thinking straight at all. Like, what are you doing?
No.
Like, what are you doing? She sat there and looked at the window, the dude trying to
It was just like everything.
room,
she became very fuzzy.
Yeah, I'm like,
and forgot. Like your answer is literally right there.
Go out the window.
You just locked that door. You had time. You had time. If you grabbed that chair sooner, you would have been out there. She did make it, but they did not set that scene up like that.
Made it.
They did not set that scene up like that.
She made me mad. That shit be pissing me off. It's probably because I'm a procrastinator.
Passionate viewers, why don't you?
I don't understand, and that sometimes that shit frustrates me. With my friends, my family, and even you.
Okay.
When the shit is like crunch time,
Yeah.
I be expecting people to be on their most sharpness. Because I feel like, all right, you got to be as sharp as fucking possible because it's crunch time. And when I don't feel like everybody else around me is as sharp as me, they're not respecting the ramifications of the situation. It makes me frustrated.
Yeah, I know. And I like to be prepared. But I also have experience. I do double and dabble with procrastination. It's the best of both worlds.
I'm a high level procrastinator.
Yeah.
I'm a high level procrastinator.
No. And I think I know what you're talking about too, but
what am I talking about?
We were getting prepared for something and we did not rehearse it. And I wanted to rehearse it. And you didn't think it was a big deal.
You talking about the Hearts performance? Was that the Hearts performance?
I can't remember. It was the Hearts or something else. But I know it was something musically we decided to do.
And you always want to rehearse.
Yeah. I like rehearsing.
I be like, bro, we really not done.
I like rehearsing. It don't matter. I mean,
but I'm gonna be honest.
You don't perform the same every time you perform.
Who don't?
You
don't perform the same every time you perform, but you let the performance take over you. As long as you know your words.
Yeah.
But I don't sing.
But I start thinking about not so much as how it used to be, but when I started as an adult, I started to really exercise my gift. That was the one thing that made me really nervous. What? Because I wasn't holding a sheet up there.
Okay. Your words.
Yeah. I'm lighter. There's grace there, but again, I like to rehearse.
You like to be prepared. I get it, man. And I be prepared. I just prepare myself really, really quick.
I don't see why people don't rehearse. Now, granted, I have slacked these last years, so, but
yeah, we don't rehearse enough. The band don't rehearse enough.
No,
that's because we some procrastinators. Bona fide.
It is let the changes of life just take over instead of having control of it, I guess. But still,
creators and artists are natural procrastinators.
That was my next.
Our imagination. We do a lot of work in our minds.
You read in my mind. You read in my mind. Do you think we need to procrastinate in order to function?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yep.
It is a formula. There, it is a formula to great.
I was reading a book somewhere that was talking about, and I can't put my finger on what book it was and what they said about it, but he didn't make procrastination seem so bad.
No, but I just feel like, yes, I could look at the benefit, the pros of this, but long term,
there are no pros to procrastinating.
We just said we create our best work and procrastinate. Well, I just said that.
We create our best work under pressure.
Okay.
And with time constraints. What happens is we allow deadlines to be our only time constraint. If we, which is what we working on now, me and you, we're working on scheduling and blocking out hours of the day, which is basically time constraints. So if we add our own time constraints and our own deadlines to certain things, then we can increase that level of anxiety within ourselves, that level of panic within ourselves. Yeah. And then we'll be able to
It is
operate.
Self-induced because it is self-induced. But you know what? When what is today? A few days ago, when we had that time block and I had Khalil, you had Khalil, vice versa, that first day, that worked well for me. I don't think you was rocking with it at first.
This shit worked well for me too.
But I think the result of that was great.
I agree. It just take planning, man. We gotta do it every night in order for it to happen like that.
I can't wait too late. I ain't who I was 5-10 years ago.
Nah, that'll work. And honestly, it helped because I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm more productive when I ain't around you.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
I was able to get some shit
because
done.
there is a level of
we want to take care of each other. We look out for each other and shit. And we in the same room.
And just you drop your shoulders a lot.
Yeah,
that's not helpful. Not when you got to get things done.
When you need to be getting shit done, it's helpful. For real. But yeah, I don't think there's no pros to procrastinating. There's just what happens in those moments. We got to figure out how to make that happen 2 days, 3 days before. Like that level of anxiety, that level of I got to get this done.
Right.
If I don't get, and I think what comes from that is the fear of the punishment of what you're going to lose, which is hard. So if the deadline is the 28th,
right,
it's hard to set a deadline on the 15th. Knowing that you're not gonna get punished if you don't do it on the 15th. You're only gonna get punished if you don't turn it in on the 28th.
Why don't we remind ourselves that we don't want to face those consequences?
We do remind ourselves just that those consequences don't become real until they're like 24 hours away.
Child, talking about 11:59 p.m. Hey, you at the last hour?
Didn't submit at 11:59 p.m.
You can't even go back and brief anything. That's terrible. But you know what I did? I have not always, but in the last few years of my life, I have spoken about needing structure. Mm-hmm. It's coming together. But it needs to be highlighted. That is a must for me.
Structure.
Because structure.
Yeah, no, both of us. That's what we both learned since we done been shacking up
together.
That's what the old people call shacking up.
Yeah. You need a shack before you do the do.
I agree. They talking about you shouldn't shack up.
I disagree. You get in there and you find out either person can't last all 4 seasons. You know what's crazy though?
I used to
my
elders used to stand 10 toes on that, but they could never answer me with a straight face when I was like, okay, so I can't shack up, but I also can't get a divorce, but I also can't have sex before marriage. I also can't go in the back room and hang out with her. I gotta sit on the couch. You know, like when you have a girlfriend in your high school You can't go in your room
yeah.
and hang out in your room. You gotta sit on the couch when you entertaining your company.
That was not allowed in my
So
household.
I'm like, man, y'all really setting me up for failure. You're setting me up to end up with somebody I don't really want to be with, or I don't really know.
I think there's a lot of, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this as preventative measures, but then they don't. Yeah, there's no real teaching aspect.
But the thing about
and so
it
leaves
is,
us going back to figuring it out ourselves.
you're not finding out those deal breakers until you shack up.
You didn't even know how to answer that question. You hear people talk about it like, oh, yeah, but it's not really personal.
Yeah, no.
Until
you got to shack up in order to see if there are deal breakers. Or you're going to be fooled.
I'm telling you.
The stuff that really breaks a relationship is only gonna be revealed once you're living together. Or after you've had sex.
Both.
Right.
That film, that veil.
So the fact that they talk about
It's
getting
removed.
married before you really and truly know the person. You're not supposed to have sex before marriage. So you're supposed to get married before you really and truly know the person.
I don't think. I'm going to say that's not something I would preach. I'm sorry. Now, I know there's a right way to do things, but then we find out. Listen, that we find out later. The longer we live, that don't really exist either.
Because hell, they
it's a whole bunch of modifications.
And them people who waited to get married before they had sex getting divorced at the same rate. It ain't working out for y'all at the same rate. It ain't working out for the other folks.
No.
So, hey,
I had to tell my
get your rocks off, man. Shack up, man. Yeah. Might as well.
I had to tell my father. I said, "Listen,
it's hard out here. We splitting these bills.
I am making sure I'm investing in something healthy.
Yeah,
that's my main priority.
Fuck that
right now." Faja. Do you think? Would you call procrastination a tool?
It's an environment.
Okay.
It's not really a tool, but it's like an environment.
Is it toxic?
It's as toxic as any other vice. I think procrastination is like a vice. We feed off of the endorphins and the chemical messaging that we get from panic, anxiety, and things like that. Boy, what? It's okay for real.
No, it ain't.
Crazy. It really is. I get it though. Hold up.
Anybody know? Can I
fingers?
Bless it, Lord. Bless it. You want me to rub it?
You dead.
What was it? A spider?
Don't say it on there.
I can't even grab my cup.
You can grab your cup. He dead now. Oh, shit. Anyway. Yeah, it's a vice. I think it's a vice that we tap into, that we like. So it's as toxic as weed can be. It's as toxic as alcohol can be.
Yeah, but I don't think we're intentionally being procrastinating. We're intentionally procrastinating.
We are intentionally procrastinating. Because we don't remember last minute, we choose to act last minute. We remember throughout the pendency of the assignment, and we make excuses why we shouldn't do it when we remember it. We're sitting down watching TV and it pops up in our head. Man, I need to do this. We make an excuse in that moment while we don't do it in that moment.
Okay, so what happens when whatever it is that you need to do, and you go to do it, but things are not coming together, in that setting. So you could be drawing a blank or just staring at blank paper or just the thoughts that you want to come together haven't formulated yet. So it's like, okay, let me go revisit. And then you revisit and you revisit and revisit and it still hadn't come together yet. So it's like, well, how long do I need to take a break from this before, you know what I mean?
I think you have to induce that fight or flight mentality. You have to induce that anxiety. You have to induce anxiety. You have to induce panic in order to do that. And that what panic and anxiety really does is it liberates this box of rightness and this box of moving a certain way. We are stuck. Like writer's block is basically too many rules. You go through writer's block because you're trying to come up with something, as opposed to allowing yourself to come up with something and just writing what you come up with. You go through writer's block because you want it to sound a certain way and you want it to come out a certain way, but you don't even know what that certain way is, as opposed to just writing and just writing what the first things that come to your mind, however you're inspired.
You know what? I still feel a way about that. But what I will say is there was this virtual writing workshop that I did a few years ago. I haven't been able to tap back into them yet. But what I liked about it was a group of people around the world, and they would put you into different teams. But the first few moments they would post, the screen would be of an object. And you'd have an X amount of time to just write whatever that object reminded you of. Whether it related to it or not. Whatever the object invoked in you, that's what you wrote.
That's dope.
And then breakout sessions happened and you would share. And it was really organic. And then now you can get caught up in your thoughts about, I want it to sound this way.
A lot of people will try to be all extra poetic and
it's very telltale, but
corny. We lets us know what type of artist you are.
Right. The more
That's a blue ball, bro. You talking about the world with no earth and the world with no land. Come on, shut up.
Who did you just watch?
That's a blue ball, G.
That sound deep.
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm
not even gonna say that.
You should probably spearhead something like that, man. I like that idea. That's the right idea.
Yeah.
You should spearhead that. That's cool.
I remember I signed us up a few months ago, and
who was us?
Me and you. Remember we talked about doing it, but our schedule we forgot about it. So we'll try again. But I think it's pretty dope. I would like to do something like that.